Mr. Carver for 2.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The tragedy of this foolhardy quest in the guise of increasingly overt expansion of EU neo-imperialism, whilst calling for a greater role for the European Union on the international stage, underlines exactly how you misjudge this shift in global power. Your evangelical desire to become a so-called strategic player in world affairs leads you to seem oblivious to the need to engage in a real diplomatic approach to secure better lasting EU-Russia relations. This extension of the EU's tentacles eastwards underlines how your most significant foreign policy of recent times has turned out to be an utter failure. You completely underestimated Russia's resolve in Eastern Europe, and now the citizens of Eastern Ukraine are paying the price for your folly. I agree with you that Russia is far from innocent in this crisis, but there is blame on both sides, and the EU's actions have done nothing to promote peace and reconciliation. And where are we now after all of this, from the self-declared preserver of European peace? In the most dangerous world since the collapse of the Iron Curtain, NATO, which of course has many EU members who are minded and muddled by the EU common foreign security and defence policies, has for the first time been singled out as a threat in Russian defence thinking, leading to increasing penetrations into member states' territory and alarmingly a more aggressive nuclear doctrine than ever before. For the first time since 1975, the UK is entering into a debate about our EU membership, at the very time that EU-Russia relations are at their lowest ebb, and on the back of the British Prime Minister David Cameron's open call for the European Union to stretch, in his own words, from the Atlantic to the Urals. I wait, Mr. President, with bated breath to see whether, unlike in 1975, our politicians will be far more honest about the real intentions of how the EU intends to morph into a federal superpower. One thing is for certain though, history will be your judge. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Carver. Would you accept a question from Ms. CORAZZA BILDT?
Jetzt können Sie anfangen. Gestattet es, ja.
Go ahead.
Chair, there is something called international law. Being a member of the Security Council of the United Nations, humanitarian law, crimes against humanity. And when I was in the Bosnian War, the British people, the British troops, the British government stand up for peace in Europe in a brilliant way. Why, 20 years later, you're not ready to denounce an invasion with tanks, with thousands of official troops from Russia, fighting a war in Europe with 2 million refugees? How would you solve peace in Ukraine? With your appeasement?
It's a very straightforward answer, Frau Bildt. When you speak of the Balkans War, you spoke of mandates from the United Nations, you spoke of mandates through NATO. What I'm highlighting here is the approach of the European Union, that seeks to impose its tentacles further east, at the same time provoking the Russian bear. The highlight of this debate, it's been highlighted by Herr Schulz up there, it's been highlighted by Monsieur Le Breton at the back, it's been highlighted by Signor Castaldo, is EU-Russia relations. This debate is turning into a love fest for EU expansion, and that